right. Okay, this stage looks bigger than in the video, and thanks for the video because I don't really think I would have get in here without it, so that is very useful. In the previous discussion in the panel, we've heard a lot about social media, and I think that we're going to touch on those points as we go through the presentation. First of all, my name is Caridad González. I am from Madrid. I've been living in Barcelona for 4 years now, and I'm working at a company that is called Wash It English. Before that, I've had experience as a creative copywriter in advertising agencies. I've worked as a content strategist as well in digital consultancies companies. And I've discovered my passion for digital when I understood that beyond a good story, beyond a good creative approach, there is data that we can measure, and we can see how things are working or not. And I think that that is the best thing that we can think about when we are talking about digital, right? And when we're talking about social media. I don't know if you know Wash It English. Anybody? Raise your hands. Do you know Wash It English? Cool. Wow. Interesting. So Wash It English is a best-in-class company that teaches English for adults all over the world. I just brought some stats because I think it's interesting to take a look into this company. We're talking about an industry that operates in a $50 billion industry. We're talking about a market that has 1.75 billion learners all over the world, which is a few people here. At Wash It English, we've had the pleasure to teach English to more than 3 million students, and we deliver 1 million classes per year. I think that's a lot to do. And also we are in 29 countries in EMEA, LATAM, and Asia. So on a daily basis, I get to have conversations with people from Colombia, South Korea, Myanmar, Indonesia, France. And I think that is something that I really like because it opens your point of view, right? It allows you to have information from other people and mostly about how the students are in different parts of the world. I think before we get into that, and going back to the storytelling approach that we were listening to in the conversation, for me, my job is to make sure that these students approaches us through social media. So if they see a post or an ad or an interaction, we are there to get them and try to enroll them, to make them customers. But at the end of the day, what matters the most for us, and for me specifically, if somebody has engaged with us on social media and has become a student and has started the journey of learning a language that allows you to do so much, that can change your future, that you can get the job that you want, that you can find the love of your life if you're traveling abroad, and you can be here on this stage or somewhere else, like Melting Laugh, talking about your job or the profession that you've chosen. That is what matters, and that is our storytelling. That is what matters the most because English can change your future. And we need to keep this idea when we talk about social media as well, because we need to deliver that message. We need that to happen. And when we see that there are 29 territories or countries in here, I think you can tell that I am a bit busy on a daily basis. And that is why, for me, social media optimization is life, because without it, without a structure and a methodology, I wouldn't be able to help these territories and our franchisees, because we are a franchising business, to reach their goals and to make their business work when we talk about social media as a marketing channel, right? If there's something that social media has, is tons of stats. And I just chosen 3 because I thought that for the topic that we are going to see today, they were relevant, and also for startups and entrepreneurs. So, 97% of small businesses use social media to attract new customers. Okay. We can also say that social media is some kind of hygienic. We have our website, we have our social media channels. So that is a fact, and it's going to be 100% very soon. And also, 65% of the users that search for business online they're more likely to become consumers. So the thing is that if you are present on social media and somebody sees you, you will have an opportunity to connect with that person, so that person become a customer at some point. But also, 83% of business owners aren't sure about what social media platforms to use and tools. And when we talk about social media tools, I'm not only talking about software or platforms, I'm talking about structure, I'm talking about a methodology to approach these things. So I guess that that is a core of the social media optimization at its best. And this is the source is Social Media Examiner if you're interested in. So what is social media optimization? I think that the word optimization resonates a lot, and I think it's something that it's very present in, if you work in marketing or communication or any industry. And I thought it was interesting to go back a bit and see what is the definition of optimization. So according to the dictionary, optimization is the action of making the best or most effective use of a situation or resource. Right. So I think we do this with everything that we do in life. If we go to work, we try to find the best route that takes us the less time and also the less of our energy. If we go to the gym, we probably would like to have a workout that makes us fitter faster. And probably, if we're going to do some networking later on, we might think, okay, how do I meet the highest relevant number of people with the less consumption of drinks? I think there is a challenge here. If you want to take it later on, we'll see if that it's something that it's doable. So again, when we're talking about tools and optimization and make the best use and being efficient, I think we should take a moment again to reflect on what is it that we need to identify as a potential issue when we are doing our social media stuff. I'm not going to talk about social media strategy because I am sure that you as a business have a very good social media strategy to work with, but I'm just going to talk about what could be something problematic. And I'm going to do this with the help of a bunch of an amazing gentlemen that, for whatever reason, faced a very fatal destiny. I don't know, do you know these guys? Anybody? If you know these guys, it might tell you a bit about your age. So I don't think there are any boomers here. Somebody? Okay, I reveal who these guys are if you don't know, but I think I've seen some smiles over there, so you might know. So let me please introduce you Mr. Data, Mr. Tracking, Mr. Lead, Mr. Content, Mr. Paid and Organic, and Mr. Right Platform. All right. Wow, what a bunch. I'm going to try to break this down for a bit because there's a lot of things to talk about. So, data. Everybody's talking about data, but at some point you need to figure out your data. What do you have? And social media, there's loads of data. But for me, what matters the most is trying to understand what brings the best results. And for that, we need to have a beautiful funnel view. And I know I said the word funnel. Okay, everybody loves a funnel, but this is very important. We need to know, this is an example, right? So if we're running an ad campaign, we will have our impressions, and from those impressions, we'll probably have any leads or MQLs. We have a service, SQLs, and then customers. It doesn't matter if it's like mobile app installs. It could be anything, right? But what is important is that you really have a clear vision of this, that you understand that if you're running an ad on social media, if you're doing something organically, then you will be able to track all these things because otherwise you're blind and you wouldn't be able to optimize, right? So this is very important. And make sure that everything that you do is clear and you can gather it somewhere that you can just take a look like very fast. Because if you had to go to Facebook Ads Manager, you had to go to LinkedIn Campaign Manager, and you had to go to YouTube Stats, then it's like, wow, it's seriously overwhelming. And there are things like, I don't know if you know this platforms such as HubSpot or Play Store Console for apps or Intercom. They can provide you with a very good funnel view. Some of these are free, but maybe it's worth investing on those things because it will save you tons of time and frustration. Mr. Tracking. I don't think I say this enough. And when I work with my countries, and they've made a great effort to run an amazing campaign with a great visual and a super compelling copy, which is very difficult, all of a sudden we go to Google Analytics or we go to HubSpot, and then it's like, where is this campaign? What happened? You know what happened? Nobody used a UTM URL. And I think as technical or as a detail I'm being now, this is, again, something very important. So make sure that you use a UTM or a tag URL for every link that you post on social media. It doesn't matter if it's an organic post, it doesn't matter if it's an ad. It could be a landing page, it could be somewhere on the website, it could be another piece of content, whatever. Use UTMs. And also what is very important is that, okay, let's use an UTM, but what if your colleague needs to manage this? All of a sudden, nobody really knows what the campaigns are. And it's probably because we don't have a naming convention that it's really useful. So everybody uses any name, and then at the end of the day, nobody really understands what happened with the campaigns because it's a mess. And there are very, very useful tools, and these ones are free, especially the Google URL Builder. So they're very simple. If you're using a platform, try to use UTMs that are friendly, so you can just make sure that everything's going to be tracked. Because otherwise, again, you're blind, and we don't want to be blind with social media. This is Mr. Lead, and I just make this kind of, I think that this word might resonate as well, which is LILCs, which is leads I love to convert. It's not enough that our ad or our campaign on social media is out. We need to think about who is the target audience that we want to reach, which eventually will become our customers or our users or whatever that we want them to be. So when we come to a funnel like this, and maybe we've made our efforts to run a good campaign, but we know and we see that we have 50% of marketing qualified leads, maybe we've done something that is not good enough, maybe we haven't been relevant enough, or maybe we haven't started qualifying them from the very beginning, right? So I would say that before launching a campaign or doing something on social, start qualifying these leads. We all are leads. I mean, we are customers as well. So think about what made you, when you were on Facebook, click on that ad. Maybe because you were a target audience. Maybe because you liked the visual. Maybe because the message really, really made an impact on you. So we need to think about for other consumers, right? And also, make sure that your audiences are relevant for your business. Sometimes we can target broad audiences, right? If we have like a brand awareness campaign, we want people to know us. Okay, it could be from 18 to 65 plus, people living in Barcelona, fine. But then if we want these guys to just take another step and buy your products, please make sure that you narrow that enough. So think about interests, think about locations, etc. And for this purpose, you have things like Facebook custom audiences. You can create lookalikes. You can create on HubSpot matched audiences that can help you build that target that you want to reach. And then they will enable you to do things such as retargeting, which is another amazing way to do campaigns. But we need to do this first. We need to find them. We need to get them. Okay, in the previous discussion, the word content resonated a lot. I'm not going to say things like content is king or content is queen or prince or whatever. I'm just going to say that you need to take content very seriously. And think about this. You've got your brand, that it's perfect. You've got your amazing storytelling. But when it comes to practicalities, then we really need to think about how are we going to use this content. And most of all, how does this content align with our business strategy? How can we make it more relevant? It's not about, there was a time when I was seeing lots of inspirational quotes, and I say to my countries, like, okay, being inspired once in a while, it's fine, but how is this impacting your business? Is this relevant? I don't think so. Let's talk about the things that matter. Let's talk about the things that matter for our prospects or the people that want to be a student. I think that's what is essential, right? And also be very realistic. I think in the panel, there was a comment about, okay, you want to make an amazing video because you want to be on YouTube and you want to be on Instagram and make an amazing, okay, those things are great, but do you have the time? Do you have the resources? Do you have what it takes to be able to run a production to make an amazing video? Maybe there are better things that you can do with that time and those resources. So please be realistic, because otherwise you're gonna get very frustrated. And when it comes to the delivery of that content, it's also very important that you make the most of it. So now that you've made a great effort and created a beautiful post, that what you had to do is making sure that your audience is going to see it. So you can save yourself some time if you schedule them using things like the HubSpot social media feature, or things like Hootsuite or Buffer. You can also have other things that will tell you, like on Facebook Insights, when your audience is more active. So you will make sure that that content is going to be delivered in the right moment, in the right way. And if we go a bit beyond our business strategy or content strategy and the things that we can talk about, I would just recommend to search for inspiration in things like your SEO keyword research. Social media and SEO, they're very friendly, but I think that people take SEO more seriously sometimes, I guess because they don't have memes, but that's another story. But basically, if you take a look of your SEO keyword research and you applied it to your social media content, you go to Google Trends and see what's on. You go to places like Medium to see what is the editorial side of the trends that are happening at the moment. You can follow hashtags, very related to your business or not related at all, to find some kind of inspiration. Or things like Quora. Those things would be very, very helpful for you, and most of them are free. So I would try to take a look and try to implement this in the content plan for social media. Okay, so number 5, paid is the new organic. Why? Because in a way, organic doesn't exist anymore the way it used to be in 2012. Unfortunately, Mark Zuckerberg thought, okay, I think we can make more money out of Facebook. How do we do this? No more reach. Brand engagement drop in, because we want people to invest in ads, right? I think this is pretty clear. And even though the algorithm is changing all the time, this is essential. So, okay, we all want to get great results from the social media activity without paying. But if you think about it, when you make something on social media, you are investing time, and time is money. So I think that if you manage to have a budget, even though it's small, and you balance it with your lead generation ads, for example, or you use a very, very good performing organic post, and you boost it, or you use like the Facebook Ads Manager, that is better, then you will get more with just a bit amount of money. And also, if you want to save yourself some time, then I would create like content that works for paid and organic. I don't know if you've ever run a campaign on Facebook, but I guess that you know that there is a rule that says if you have more than 20% text on your image, your ad is going to perform worse. If we know that, we make sure that once we're designing some kind of content, and we love our designers, of course, we make sure that we are going to have that so we can use it for an ad, rather than producing 2 pieces of content, 2 posts, right? We all want to get like direct results, but as I said before, probably if nobody knows your company or your brand, you probably need to launch a brand awareness campaign that is probably going to bring traffic to your website. With what? With a UTM URL, of course. Then, even though you think, no, but I want leads, that will save you a lot of time and money, because users will be able to know you. And then it's more likely that those leads are going to convert. Those people are going to click on your ad. So even though you're thinking, no, but I want people to buy, okay, introduce yourself first, get familiar, and then you probably can push it harder with a more commercial message. So that is why brand awareness campaigns and lead generation ads are really, really best friends when it comes to social media. And yeah, I mean, okay, somebody would think, wait, but organic is not dead. There are things we can do. Yes, we can. We can make use of formats that are like in a very, very good position at the moment, such as video, native video. So if we want to test how a lead generation ad campaign with an image would work versus a video ad, then we're in a good place because probably we're going to get 10% more organic reach plus the paid if we run a video ad campaign. So something that it's not in here, but I recommend is test, 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 right? That would be the seventh guy from Reservoir Dogs. And then one thing that is very important, and it was in the conversation before, is that we all want to be in every platform. So most companies are present on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. That is a lot of platforms to produce content for, to manage, to take care, to analyze. So I would say before you get, in the middle of a moment where you say, we need to be in TikTok. Yeah, TikTok is great, let's go. Wait, just go one step back and try to understand the role of the platform for the business. So maybe your audience is on TikTok. Maybe that's the case. But if not, if your audience is on LinkedIn, just put all your efforts on LinkedIn because it's going to pay. Otherwise, you're going to be doing things and you're not going to be sure about them, and probably you're not getting the results that you want. But if you want to be on many different platforms, make sure that you have a seamless experience, which is very difficult to say, with different content. Because what works on Facebook probably won't work on Instagram, and the other way around. So let's make sure that you focus on things that are going to produce results rather than just using the same content everywhere. Because I think that you as a user, as a social media user, if you see the same everywhere from a brand or a friend that you really, really love and like, then it's like, this is boring. I'm not engaging. It's not like, I don't know, that's my personal opinion, but I think that it happens to everybody. So I guess that research is another great word. Do your research before just, open new channels, because I think it's very important. And there are tons of information about platform roles, trends. You can get very local, you can get very international. So just make sure that you take some time before you start doing things, because these channels are free. By your time, as I said before, your time, is money at the end of the day. And then going a little bit back to the social media optimization, I'm going to present what I call the SMOP, which you know what that is. But besides that, it's basically something that will help you as a tool, besides the platforms that you can be on or the software that you can have. And it's basically a way to structure your efforts and have a methodology so you can make the most of what you're doing on social media. And this plan has 3 phases. One is the analysis of what you've got. That is why having everything gathered in one place is so useful, because you will have that view like this. Then the phase 2 is about diagnosis. Sometimes it's like, oh, we have problems. What kind of problems? We really need to understand what are the pain points. But just not paying attention to small details like, oh, we only got 1 like. Oh, we're lost. Wait, maybe the problem is somewhere else, right? And then the phase 3, I would just try to set a timeline with, okay, what are the actions that we're going to take to solve this issue, and what is a priority? So I guess that you, as a very heavy user media users, you know the basics about being there, right? But if you add a bit of a methodology and a structure, you will optimize your time a lot, because this is basically going to help you, okay? And I just made a small illustration about what a SMOP could be. Of course, there is bits that are not here, but I just wanted to have here an idea of how could you activate this? How could this be actionable? So imagine that we have 3 areas of our social media activity. One, for example, is social ads. And we know that we're running social ads on platforms. It could be Facebook and Instagram, for example. We have an insight or a diagnosis that says we've got low traffic from campaigns. Okay, how is this happening if we've done everything right? Okay, I would just say, if this is impacting on lead generation, which is basically essential for a business, and it's the end of the month, maybe we should take an action that says, why don't we review the tracking? Maybe we are missing something. Maybe the tracking is not right. Maybe, we're getting results, but I cannot see them. Maybe the audience is not good enough. Maybe we need to optimize and see, based on the stats that we have, what it's working better. And of course, we have to probably take a look at the visual and the copy. If we had the time to do an A/B testing, maybe with 3 ads, maybe you can just turn off one, and then you can let the best performing ones run, so you can have like 2 things to compare it with. But at least you will have something that it's more like actionable rather than saying, I don't really know what to do with this campaign. It's been a disaster. Wait, go through this first if you can. And it's because probably it's important for your month. Maybe I would say, okay, first thing I'm going to fix this, priority number 1. Maybe we take a look to the content. Maybe we say, okay, we've created an amazing content plan, but we're getting low on platform engagement. We probably will need to take a look at the organic and the paid before as well. But basically, if this is having a negative impact on the traffic and the reach that we're getting, maybe we should review our content topics. Maybe we will need to find out if we are relevant enough or not. Or maybe if we need to, have some kind of budget allocated to this kind of content. And why not? If we've made a keyword research 6 months ago and we want to use it for social media, why not just review it again, make a new one, see what's going on, if there's some kind of seasonality happening. There are some other things that can affect this. But as this is important as well, I will give a number 2 in terms of priority. So it would be the second thing I'm going to do. Ideally, all these things need to happen at the same time, but, that could be very challenging. And in the third area, we have platform role, which is basically the platform FOMO that we've seen before. And this is basically on Instagram. So what's going on Instagram? So we have low on platform engagement. We don't get likes. We don't get shares. We don't get all these things. And we have duplicated content because we're posting the same on Facebook and on Instagram. This is going to have an impact on brand awareness. It's going to make users more difficult to get to know us. No interactions, and we're not getting new followers because it's not good enough. Something very easy to do that would change those results probably is implementing user-generated content, which is free, and it's out there. And if you have a good range of hashtags, and somebody has mentioned your brand, or somebody has just tagged your location, you search for that, and you regram it, and you're going to increase probably the credibility, and you're going to give a different vision of yourself, rather than talking about yourself all the time. Me, 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 me. No. What others are saying about me. What others have felt good enough to share on Instagram. And this is also important, that because we can do everything at the same time, I just give this a number 3 as a priority. Okay, and then we're going to get into the friend zone. And I'm not talking about, relationships here. But I would like to show you an example about an app. It's a mobile app, and which I'm collaborating with. And this app is very interesting because it's basically brand new. But this app has been designed to help users find like-minded people you can share your interests with. It could be hiking, it could be swimming, it could be going to parties, it could be whatever you want. That runs in the United States and Barcelona. There are lots of interests. You can choose more than 100. And you might think, okay, well, this sounds a bit like Tinder. Not really. If that happens later on, it's not the goal, but it could. And this app has also an integrated chat that allows users to have conversations, one-to-ones, and then in groups. And basically what happened with this is that when we were talking about, okay, how are we going to make this app work in an optimal way? So we went a bit beyond the conventional platforms such as Facebook or Twitter. And what happened is that we put that app on Product Hunt. I don't know if you know Product Hunt. Product Hunt, cool. And Reddit, and versus other channels. And what we saw is that this is a small app and it's growing, and probably if you have an app, this would be more or less your situation. I'm not talking about million users, but this is more or less doable. So in 1 week, we've got more than 900 users. to test the app. We got 10,000 registrations, and it ended up by having 3,000 active monthly users. And even though we're talking about paid, organic, and stuff, this product hunt on Reddit didn't cost a thing. So I guess that once you have your social media activity with a structure and a method, you can go a step beyond, and you can be a bit like, okay, let's explore, because I think that what is good about social media is that you can test, and it's not like you've made a TV commercial and you put it on the TV and it costs like millions and it doesn't work. This is something that you can really use without being so afraid or so scared about losing money. And also, we were talking about content. It is, I have to say, creating compelling content is very difficult, and we're still trying to figure out how that works. But if you manage to align your business goals to your brand, to some users' insights, you may get something like this. Have you ever thought about how to make friends when you're married? How do you do that? I don't really know. Or things like you are more than a profile picture. I guess this is talking about Tinder. That's my hint. But I guess if you manage to, to dig in a bit and try to find a way to communicate with your users that it's based on the users, and it's fun and it's compelling enough, then you've done a lot. Then you will see results, because this is, at the end of the day, this is what matters. This is your brand, and this is the use that somebody can make out of your company, right? And well, before you bring the smoke home, because you're going to do that, I just wanted to have here some essential key takeaways. Timing is everything, and I don't think I've said enough. I said it enough during this presentation. If you want to apply this methodology or something similar, please be consistent. Please do it once a month, or every 3 months, or every week, if it matters to the frequency of your business or your startup. The devil is in the details. I really like this because, as I said before, one thing that is wrong in a URL can change everything. So please be mindful about these things. Try to understand how your platform works, the social media platform works. Try to understand the algorithms. Try to be as much detail as you can be, you or your team or your partner or your colleague. Because you will save yourself some time, and you will just know, and you will be in control. And be bold. As I said, don't be afraid to explore another alternatives. If you fail, it's just another thing, but you've already tried it. So I guess that try to explore other ways to reach your audience on social media and other platforms that are like maybe a mix in between. And I really like this sentence: less is more. Always, always, always think about your resources, your time, your patience, and your budget. Because if you do these things, I'm sure that you will gonna make social media work harder for you, make it like have an impact. It's not about, there was a cat in the previous slide, but it's not about cats or memes and stuff. It's about very serious and consistent. So I guess that social media is a great opportunity. So try to make the most of it, as I'm trying to do every day, and it's very difficult. So I've been talking for a while now, a bit tired. Anybody wants to ask something? I will try to answer. Yes.
Fantastic, thank you. You're talking about user-generated content. Mm-hmm. Could you elaborate on that? Because in the end, obviously, you can do some maybe giveaways for mentions and things like that, but then what's the more concrete approach to that?
Well, for me, user-generated content is something very important because it allows you to show your brand and your company through others. And for example, if you go to Instagram and you search for a hashtag, it could be Starbucks. It's too high. It could be coffee, it could be whatever. If you have like a bar or something, and if you find that hashtag and you like that, what you can do is regram it or use an app that it's called Repost. So that app would automatically take that picture and it will have the mention of the author. So always, if you're using user-generated content, please credit the author, because that is what matters. And then you can post it. Sometimes what you can do, if it's very, if the picture is very personal, you can just send a message saying, hey, I really like what you posted about me on Instagram, or I really liked what you posted about this trend that it's involved with me. Can I repost it? Can I use it for, to share it with my followers, or to put it on the blog, or to put it somewhere that has visibility? And if you have like company, for example, if you search for Worship English, you will find like 32K hashtags all over the world. So basically, what we tend to do is find those images that talk about our activities or our students' achievements, and then we take them and we repost them. And we are given another point of view to a potential student, a prospect, or even anybody that could be interested in learning English. This is a very specific hashtag. If you don't have one, which you should be thinking about right now, get a good hashtag that it's like general enough, but also it's specific to your brand. Just make sure that you get enough volume, and then it will come a day when you can just search for that, find a good piece of content, credit the author, and post it on Instagram.
That's when you're big enough, then you can rely on hashtags, but when you're small,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can run competitions if you give away something. You can do things like, as I said, search for more generic hashtags like coffee, and then you can just identify that, trying to get in touch with the person that has posted that, and then if that person gives you permission, then you can use it. But yeah, I think that there are other ways, such as competitions, search for other hashtags that might be trending related to your business, or trying to see what is online. It could be other places like Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. So it's basically doing our research and then trying to find permissions to post that. Okay, thank you. There's another one there.
Yeah, actually, with Melting Lab, we have another company that we built, and we have built a tool that just does what you want, basically. It automatizes the way to do UGC, to connect the brands with their community, and then we use the content automatically. So it's typically
True.
Yes.
You might want to take a look to that later on.
Amazing presentation, thank you. The case you mentioned about Product Hunt is very well used in the US, and is not only like, posting there. Like there is one entire scheme that you need to put it, like, you need to, because to have it in the first page. It's like, you can only get those nice numbers if you have it in the post page. You have to have like, at least like 30 people upvoting you in the first hour, blah, blah. So when you say put in there, it's not that easy. No. People is very, very, very good in the US to do that. But and Product Hunt tried to create some events in Barcelona. I don't know if they're still keeping up with that, because there is a lot of know-how on that could be very well used. When you say that it's free,
yeah, it's free.
Is well done. It costs your time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't mentioned the behind the scenes, but I remember that we had like a great community effort trying to get people involved, voting. So yes, I mean, that takes a lot of work, and it's, as you said, it's not free. But what I wanted to explain in here is that maybe you can just take a load outside, and maybe there are platforms that you haven't thought about in the first place, but they could be useful. And then you decide, okay, I have the time and resources to invest here. Let's do this. If not, maybe you have tried, and maybe you've seen something, that is different. But yeah, I agree. Thank you. Some more questions over there? Wow.
Hi, hello. My name is Luciana. I'm from Indomit. We're a platform that automates micro-influencers campaigns to generate user-generated content. So I want to ask you if you have ever used micro-influencers for the awareness of your brand, and also, second question, if the user-generated content that you're using, it's only for Instagram, for instance, or are you actually using this for Facebook ads, Google AdWords, or just only for Instagram?
Well, so the first question is no. I would like to know more about what you've just described. Maybe we can have a conversation later on. That would be great.
Super.
And the second question is no. I mean, I just had the example of Instagram. But actually, we do something like reviews, right? We have a platform that creates reviews, which is very important for us. So that's another kind of user-generated content. And what we do with these reviews is we let the students complete a review. We put them everywhere, like in a way syndicated. So they're on Google, on our website. We sometimes, on emails, when we do a landing page, we do a campaign and we say, okay, this is the best school ever, which in some places we are, how to say. See what other people is thinking about us. See what our students are saying about our method or the classes or everything. So that is user-generated content. Of course, that platform is not free, but we're making an effort to have different sources of content that we can just use for different purposes. In this case, we use that, of course, because Google loves, well, people love stars on Google, but also to try to make people trust us in the top of the funnel phase where we are reaching them, right? Of course, you can go to Twitter and you can also search for mentions or hashtags again. You can do retweets. You can contact with people. And with Facebook, it's the same. What we could do, for example, with these reviews is we have permission to make ads. And we can and we have done that. So we are showing in an ad the opinion of one of our students. And that has a very, very good impact because you're not talking about yourself. You're just talking about yourself through somebody else. So yeah, there are many strategies about how to use user-generated content. I think it's important to think first, where do you get these things, if it's worth paying for them. When it comes to reviews, I think it is. If you manage to have them curated, you're going to use them for everything. So I think that once you have a good strategy, and if you had a bit of budget to support that, you will have a very solid content piler that will make an impact on your business when it comes to social media activity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Any more questions? No? Well, then, thank you, Caridad.
All right. I think there is another one.
Sorry.
You mentioned you are in 29 countries. I would like to ask you how you manage the cultural differences and because they use different channels, and how you can do it. For example, if you are Google or Facebook, it's another thing. But if you are small, and you want to target different markets, what would your advice be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, and that is why I'm so organized, and that is why I do the social media optimization plan, because I need to get as much information that is actionable in one place. But let's think about South Korea, because we're in South Korea, and let's talk about things like Naver or Kakao Talk. It's very difficult because we need to understand how those platforms work first. They are very similar to Instagram, with Facebook, with YouTube, or WeChat, for example, which is like super big, and we're also in China. I have the help of the local marketers because we have marketing managers in every territory. So I get some insights, but I had to do the research. But in any case, when we approach this, or when we go to Russia and we get VKontakte, which is like a strange copy of Facebook with more things to offer, we tend to be local. We tend to be local, and we tend to try to see users there through the eyes of our marketing managers. So you need to do a lot of research. You really need to do how to understand things, because what works on Facebook, Spain, it won't work there. Or if you have an influencer that is very big in the States, you go to South Korea, it's not gonna work. So I guess that research is essential, and if you manage to have any contact or any person that will support you with their vision, that will be amazingly helpful. You can get in touch with a consultant or an expert on the field, because it's very difficult, and there is like language barriers. And for example, Korean is a very difficult language because when you translate it, you don't get an idea what they're talking about because they talk differently, right? So I guess that you need somebody there, make a connection if you can, do your research and try to prioritize local versus global, because you're going to get better results and you're going to save yourself some time. So I think this is my answer. Thank you. Okay, are we good? So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I hope that you had some interesting insights about social media. And if you want to get in touch with me, please feel free to scan this QR. Cool. Thanks.